This is the Hope Cast, where every story inspires us to embrace hope and healing. Welcome, Pamela.
Hi,
How are you
dear.
doing today?
I'm doing well. Grateful to
Good.
be here.
So, let's start from the beginning. Tell us about your son.
Whew, Anthony. There's so much I could say about Anthony. Anthony was intelligent. Anthony was loving. One of my neighbors, she said it best. He was the true definition of the boy next door. He was bubbly, loved to dance, and had this infectious smile that when he walked in the room, he lit it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I'm sure it's difficult to talk about, but do you mind sharing about the circumstances around Anthony's death?
Sure, to be honest with you, Danielle, I really don't know what happened. But what I do know is Anthony was supposed to be leaving, and one of his friends that lived with us said he thought Anthony had left. He went downstairs, and to his surprise, Anthony was slumped over on the couch with one shoe in his hand and one shoe on. He ran to a neighbor, and the neighbor came and tried to resuscitate him. He called 911. And from there, we got a phone call and got to the hospital, and he had lost oxygen. They couldn't say how long, but he had lost oxygen to the brain, and his alcohol levels were like 0.63.
Oh,
So that's all I do know is that his alcohol levels were high. But at that time, during 2018, there was the epidemic of K2. So the doctor asked me, did I think that he had taken K2 or something because it didn't show up. It doesn't show up in the blood or in the blood work.
right.
So it's something they didn't know unless I knew.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't know. So as far as I knew, he didn't do that. But I did know that he drunk heavily,
Yeah.
drank heavily.
Still a little bit of a mystery.
Yeah, and I've come to terms with there's some questions I'll never get answers to, but in my time, God has healed me. The healing has come through God giving me the strength to accept what is.
Absolutely. And I know that you were a little bit hesitant when it came to him becoming an organ donor. Um, how was that? Why were you hesitant?
Because the stigma behind it. Uh, First of all, I come from a family that was something we never discussed. So there was only myths that I heard about it, organ donation. If you're dying, they'll let you die so they can take your organs. If you have it on your driver's license and you're in a car accident, they're not going to try to save you. So when they came to me with that, that was all that was ever in my mind, was
All,
all the negative things behind it,
all you ever heard about was the myths.
was the myth. So I didn't, and I didn't know.
Yeah. So what made you change your mind?
I'll never forget. We were in the waiting room and they had did the last brain scan of Anthony. And by the state of Maryland, state of Maryland's law was if he was declared brain dead, he would have to be taken off of the machines. And that last scan showed that he was. So someone from Infinite Legacy had came into the waiting room and we could see her coming. So my sister, that was like my security. She was like not letting nobody near me. So when she seen her coming, she's like, no, no. And respectfully, she turned around. And when she turned around, it was as if Anthony said to me, no, Ma, I want to help. And I said, no, 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 I want to. I want to donate his organs. And I hadn't spoken to my husband. I hadn't spoken to my oldest son about it. I just heard from Anthony.
Yeah. his spirit was
His spirit
in the
told
room.
me, it was in the room. He told me, I want to help, because that was something else that was it, one of Anthony's, um, he was a giver. He helped.
Yeah, that's
He was a
amazing.
helper.
And I'm so sorry for your loss. I understand that you had the privilege of meeting Anthony's heart recipient. His name is Dean.
Yes.
What was that like?
August 6th, 2019,
The date.
the date.
Mhm.
I was nervous. I was nervous because, and I didn't know from reading his bio. Well, if I could just go back a little bit,
Yeah.
Anthony passed away in September. By October, I was writing letters to the advocates, to my advocates of Infinite Legacy, because I couldn't reach out to the recipients, but I wanted the recipients to put a face and a name with what they had in a
Yeah.
person. I wanted them to identify with who this was and who he was. And it was so important that the heart recipient, Dean, knew that he had a heart of gold. And that was what I wanted so much. And when they reached out to me, of course I was nervous, but it was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I'm gonna be able to meet him. And I got nervous because reading his bio, I could tell he was a Caucasian. And I was like, will he see that I'm an African American, and will he not want the heart? I just didn't know. I was just fearful. So when he walked in the room and he said it, and when he seen me and he just seen us, and it was just like, this is love.
Something clicked.
Something clicked. It clicked.
Well, that's amazing. Um, are you still in touch with Dean?
Yes, yes. I'm still in touch with Dean, his wife, his daughter. Dean calls me every Mother's Day.
That's so sweet.
Calls me every Mother's Day for him and Anthony to wish me a happy Mother's Day.
That is so sweet.
Yes, he does.
As a mom, how proud are you of Anthony's donation?
I am so, so proud. It gives me calm. It helps me appreciate more and more what Anthony's purpose really was. And that was for somebody else to do what he couldn't,
Continue his story.
but to continue his story.
Yeah. And so how has his story continued for you?
By Dean being able to see his daughter get married, by the young man up in Pennsylvania that received Anthony's pancreas, that he's able to play outside with his son. I haven't kept in touch with him since 2019. It was around 2019 when he wrote me. The recipient that was into music, because Anthony loved music too, by the way. She was on dialysis and was in college, but because of dialysis, she was doing college from home. She was being home doing virtual colleging, schooling, and she was able to go back to college in person.
That's amazing. He's really helping other people live their life.
Yes.
So, what did he donate?
Whew. His heart, his liver, his pancreas, both his kidneys, and of course, tissue.
Wow. He's all over the world.
Yes. Yes.
Still living.
Still living.
How did your life change after you lost Anthony?
A part of me died.
Mhm.
A part of me did. And I did. I thought I would die from a broken heart because losing Anthony was like a chunk of me being lost.
It's your baby.
It was my baby. It was my baby. But then one day I sat on my deck and I sat there and I said to God, I said, I don't want to die. I want to show the world what I can do through you. Give me the strength to inspire other people, to encourage other people, and put one foot in front of the other. That I could do this, and I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And it hasn't been easy. And there's days that I wake up, but I think about Dean, and I think about the young lady that's in school, and I think about all the lives that Anthony saved through organ donation.
Well, most people learn about organ donation at the worst moment of their life. How was your experience when you first heard about organ donation?
Well, again, I didn't know anything about organ donation until after donating Anthony's organs. And then it was like, okay, I want to know more.
Open the floodgates.
I want to know exactly the myths, their lies,
Mhm.
because I know that Southern Maryland Hospital did everything to save Anthony's life. And even with Anthony being able to donate his organs, I just knew his liver was going to be shot because of the alcohol levels. I thought that that would definitely not be an option, but it was. And someone was able to have his liver, and thanks be to organ donation, thanks be to Infinite Legacy that happened. But it was educational for me because I didn't know the importance of, you know, you pass away and you either get cremated or they bury all these parts that are still, someone can live with these parts,
Absolutely.
with these organs.
Absolutely.
So I had to learn that. So I was educated.
It's crazy because the myths around organ donation keep people from knowing the true beauty of what happens after someone
Exactly.
passes away
Exactly.
and the legacy that can continue.
It can continue.
And Anthony is living on through all the people that he's touched.
All the people that he's touched.
Let's talk about your grief journey.
It has been a journey, and a journey that I'm still on, because the grief was so overwhelming when I first lost Anthony that I thought I would die from a broken heart. And one day I sat on my deck and I said to God, I did not want to die with a broken heart, but I wanted to inspire, I wanted to encourage people. And I started a foundation in memory of Anthony called A Sacred Hills Foundation. And that helped me, it kept me busy. And also, I became an ambassador for Infinite Legacy. That helped me with my journey. And I also started doing videos on social media. Um, every step count, every effort is a win. And I mean that literally, not just exercise wise, which we know exercising does help the heart, but actually because it takes strength sometimes to be in a dark place or to be in grief, in a stage of grief that it's hard to get up out the bed. It's hard to put one foot in front of the other. So I just ask God to give me that strength. And it has been a journey, but with God, all things possible. He has been giving me that strength each and every day.
Absolutely. But you lost your baby. And what helps you get through the hardest of those days?
I think about Dean. I think about the other recipients that I have not personally met, physically met, but through letters.
Because Anthony's legacy lives on through all the people that he's touched.
Yes. His purpose. I found purpose in that, and I find purpose in Anthony in organ donation. Infinite Legacy with having donated his organs because of Anthony, someone else is living their life.
Absolutely. So, what's your favorite memory of Anthony?
What's my favorite memory of Anthony? Actually, running up and down the steps because he had a studio in the basement. And Fridays was always his Friday was his day. He'd be downstairs in the studio and the basement, and he'd be playing his music, and he would always run up the steps. Like, and we had a townhouse with 3 levels, so it was three. Go from downstairs to the top to the from the basement to the living room, and then he had to come up another flight of steps. So he would always be running up, and I was like, Anthony, stop running up the steps. So that is like one of my memories, one of my favorite memories, because some days I could lay in the bed and I would be like, he would be running up the steps about this time, and it would be on a Friday evening, and it would always make me smile.
Yeah.
But his smile, his bubbly personality, and always, you know, just loving,
Yeah.
just love.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah, you know,
So,
miss our conversations.
I bet. I bet you do. But how have you been involved with Infinite Legacy since we came into your lives?
In the beginning, when I started was 2019. Yes, I became an ambassador. And I was very, more active, very active, and I uh, was doing a lot of volunteering. Lot of volunteering. I would go out. I love to tell Anthony story, and I love to educate people on those are myths. Don't believe the myths. Don't believe those are lies. And this is my story. Like, he was not an organ donor. He wasn't. I decided that, but in doing so, I had to learn. I was also on the Infinite Legacy Donor Family Committee.
Mm-hmm.
I was also a part of that, the Community Affairs Committee.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it, going out and just telling people about Infinite Legacy and about organ donation and the importance of it, and about the organs that can actually help other people live.
Tell me a little bit about your necklace. I see you
This
have
is
him with
Anthony.
you.
He goes with me everywhere.
Yeah.
He does. He goes with me everywhere. And this is my forever 26. He was 26 years old. And that's my Anthony.
Well, that's amazing. I absolutely love the necklace.
Thank you.
First thing that caught my eye when you walked into that.
And when I wear it, like, I was an MC for in a program, a ministry that I'm a part of, 7 Keys to a Mother's Heart. And I was an MC. And I was like, do I wear Anthony with me to this event? And I was like, well, no, because I don't want it to, like, everybody be like this, like, because I know it's an eye catcher.
It is.
But yes, it's my favorite piece of jewelry.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. You have him with you at all times. Well, thank you, Pamela, for coming and visiting and speaking with me today about your amazing son.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And it has been amazing talking to you. And thank you for watching. This has been the Hopecast.
Thanks for listening to the Hopecast, brought to you by Infinite Legacy, the organ procurement organization that serves Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Northern Virginia. We facilitate organ, eye, and tissue donation and educate people about the critical importance of registering to be a donor. We are passionate about giving life and restoring hope while honoring the legacy and generosity of donors and providing care to their families. Make sure you follow Infinite Legacy on all platforms to see when new episodes of the Hopecast drop. For more stories about people impacted by our life-saving cause, and to learn more about how you can save and heal lives as an organ, eye, and tissue donor, visit infinitelegacy.org.